Hi everyone, welcome to your Modern Maven Tarot Collective Tarot for the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. All right, this is going to be a big one, a very energetic crescendo, if you will, that is really going to encourage a release. Now, I just watched Donna Stellhorn's wonderful astrology video on this new moon eclipse, so I really highly suggest you check that out. The one thing I want to highlight, which she did such a wonderful job visually explaining when it comes to this new moon solar eclipse, is the moon is your emotions, okay? The moon is so bruised from getting hit by so many different, meteors and rocks and debris from space. And the moon and your moon energy holds emotional bruises, okay? So along with what you want emotionally, it also has all of the bruises that you've collected throughout your lifetime when it comes to emotions. And now all that conjunct with a solar eclipse, this solar eclipse is going to shine a light, if you will, on your emotional bruises, okay? So for water signs, you're probably going to feel that really strong connection energetically to the collective. So do everything you can to make sure that you cleanse yourself, wear some protective jewelry if you can, or carry some obsidian around with you. And black tourmaline too. But I just really want you to make sure that you recognize that this is collectively for all of us going to be a big energy, okay? Now, there are some really important cards that came through while I was clearing the decks. Also, too, I will be going sign by sign at the end, so do check that out. Then you can get a card pull for each sign, your sun, moon, rising, whatever houses you're wanting clarity on. Oh, and also, if this does resonate, please do hit that like button and subscribe to Modern Maven Tarot. And thank you to all my subscribers. But these messages that came through were very clear, very obvious, and we have to remember, too, that we're in Pluto retrograde in Capricorn at transitioned into Capricorn September 1st, and the direct is going to happen on October 11th. So we're already feeling this build up to all that stuff. And so I just really need you to recognize that stay grounded, okay? A lot of energy of collapse and renewal is coming in. And what's so interesting for me is while I'm recording this, I'm looking out. So they've been doing construction on a highway outside of my place, and it's been happening for well over a year at this point, right? But they just got to the other side of the highway. And so in front of me, there's all of this rubble, right? There's all of this rubble in front of me. However, I see the excitement and positivity of like, we are going to rebuild this road better than ever. And so that's where it's like, give space for grief and give space for compassion while also remaining aware that your energy and the energy you vibrate out will really make a difference when it comes to the rebuilding, if you will, okay? Now, the messages that came through while I was clearing the cards. Okay, the first one, the emphasis on karmic relationships at this time. So where this is going to affect you in different areas, okay? So please do take a look at what house Libra rules in your chart. If you have any planets, I think that are between like 5 and 15 degrees of Libra, that's also going to resonate very strongly with you, okay? So that's like really going to be felt personally. Some people too, if you don't have really strong Libra placements, that might be where you're witnessing this stuff, but it's still going to personally affect you, okay? But karmic relationships, we are going to have an emphasis of karmic relationships, but the wonderful thing about this that I'm getting is, going back to the crescendo, is these karmic relationships, some of them, the bond is going to grow bigger. For other of these karmic relationships, it's going to be this thank you for being my life, but now we part ways type of energy. All right. But let's just have that crescendo be the recognition of people are in our lives for certain reasons, but people also moved on different paths for different reasons as well. Now, a big question to ask yourself during this time, because there's going to be, again, the emotional bruises. Go into your shadow. Also take a look at where your Saturn is, okay? Because we've been learning so much about our blocks, our fears, our limitations, rising up to the challenge. And when it comes to Saturn's lessons, those lessons can really bruise us emotionally, especially if we have a strong emotional tie to our ego and unhealed shadow energy. Now remember too, Chiron is retrograde in Aries, okay? The wounded healer is coming to clear these wounds. And so there may be things about yourself where, when it comes to self-love, like how important self-love is, but there might be things where your ego, in a sense, things that have always, you've held on to, if you will, of these ego bruises that are connected to emotional bruises, where it's going to be really illuminated. Okay. So it's like, this is just a generalization, but like you've always thought your nose is too big. And then like when you're looking in the mirror, like you're going to really focus on that, or your teeth aren't white enough. You know what I mean? Like there's just something here where I really think there's this strong connection for us where we are going to highlight the things we don't like, and not only about ourselves, but about the people around us, about society, okay? And so it's just this recognition of holding compassion through that energy, okay? So the one thing I want you to pause and ask, because of this emotional intensity that is coming, because solar eclipses are intense anyways, because they're shining a light, ask yourself, why am I doing the things I'm doing right now? Especially if we get into that heightened, very strong emotional reactionary energy, okay? Pause and ask yourself, why am I doing the things I'm doing right now? All right. Another interesting message that came through for the collective that I think is very important is the archetypal energy of the damsel and the father. And so this is what I found so interesting, especially tied to the Capricorn paradigm, the patriarchal energy, as we transition more to the matriarchal nurturing mother energy of the Aquarian age. This connection to the dependency that comes from a system that promotes the idea of freedom, but not freedom that comes with responsibility, accountability, okay? And so, or if there is, it's just for very specific people, that rules for thee, none for me type of energy. So it was so interesting to see the damsel and the father, because this is so important for us collectively to recognize that you may not be responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible with how you react. And so going back to why we saw, why am I doing the things I'm doing right now? That is such an important message for you. Why am I doing the things I'm doing right now? And I really, every time you're feeling an emotional reaction, especially if you get into damsel energy, into victim energy, which is going to happen because that is the energy that's coming around, but it's there to recognize, how can I transition? How can I transform this into personal power? Pluto, okay? So going back to that energy again, what is the other side of the coin of this father energy? What is that nurturing father energy? Because masculine energy isn't going to go away, right? We need to have the divine feminine, the divine masculine working together, the yin and the yang. And I just want you to ask yourself, like, what if you did lack something? Because this is actually also just briefly talking about American politics. I don't get into politics, but this is just an interesting thing I've seen on social media, is people talking about the vice presidential candidate of Tim Walz, and there are people who express that certain left-leaning people, they see Tim Walz as the father they had that, like drifted away to like certain, I'll try not to say certain names, but certain media outlets that spread fear and conspiracy and, like all of this very misinformational, quote, news. And this is what we are supposed to be thinking about. So I think that is so cool that like we can see in American society this, and it's probably in other societies too. It's just that I live in America, so this is what I see and observe. But what is this is what we need to ask ourselves. What is it that we expect or deserve to have as nurturing masculine energy? Because it should be nurturing, right? It's not just about strength and power and dominance. There is a nurturing aspect to masculine energy, okay? And it's about, that idea of building resilience. Both masculine and feminine should be building resilience. Look at this. I love that the tarot did this. This is exactly what it's about, is like nurturing. This is your inner child, right? This is childhood. Society is supposed to nurture you to go from this to this, okay? But with the shadow energy of what we're seeing from this Capricorn paradigm, not necessarily the case, right? So this is such a cool thing to see because this is what it's all about, all right? And I was just having a conversation with my mom about this and how I've expressed, my intention for the collective is that we have governments and leaders who recognize the importance of childhood development and how our societies and government should mirror childhood development, all right? You nurture, Montessori, okay? Maria Montessori, if you don't know who Maria Montessori is, please look her up. But Maria Montessori's method of teaching is exactly what we need, and what my hope is for this new age is you nurture independence, but that independence is nurtured with collective responsibility and nurturing as well, all right? How can we nurture ourselves to be independent, but also hold ourselves accountable and make sure that we all have the right tools in our toolbox to succeed, okay? It's nurturing resilience, but not in a shadow aspect of what does resilience mean. So this is like, again, a really big, profound message. Another message that came through, free will. So that is a great segue, is because free will, we're going to start seeing the light and the shadow of free will. And again, going back to why nurturing responsibility and also regulatory, okay? So talk about regulations. You can see how many systems are trying to pull back regulations, even though regulations are there to keep us safe. Teaching emotional regulation in children, how important it is to recognize emotional and cognitive regulation in your brain, in a child's brain, and you know what I mean, and how all of these things work together, and how this regulation is so important to combine with free will, because free will without the emotional regulation becomes chaos, okay? So that's just something that I really truly believe is going to be illuminated. The other thing, communication. So there's a lot of Mercury energy too, and so we have to recognize communication and free will that we have when we react to things that don't vibe with us, okay? So that is a very strong energy. It's like we have to hold ourselves accountable and also give grace at the same time. So this is also a very interesting energy. Is the one thing that's going to be highlighted very strongly too. What does emotional fulfillment look like to you? All right. What does emotional fulfillment look like to you, especially with the bruises? Because instead of getting into the depths of like frustration and anger and sadness, this is where it's like, focus on what does that look like to you? Write it down. Welcome that in while working through what is leaving, okay? How can you step into that energy of what you want while also on the other side expanding your compassion for others and for yourself, okay? It's okay if you're not getting what you want out of something, and you can also give compassion and grace to what it, like I said, this is a major collective transition, okay? And so again, I'm going back to childhood development. It's that idea of like, we all come from the same source and we branch off, and there are so many different circumstances that can create the lives that we have. And so as much as we are going to feel the emotional intensity, ground yourself, tune into your heart, look at what your Venus is and really stay grounded, especially if you don't have a grounded like Earth energy in Venus. Do everything you can to avoid social media as much as you can. And like I said, yeah, because this is the energy, okay? There's going to be a lot of chaos and breakthroughs and illumination, epiphanies. Like, I mean, it's all over the place, okay? So don't get lost in that, and don't get lost too in the restrictions, all right? So look at, because this is what's coming in. Here's the Capricorn paradigm. Here's the Aquarian age. This is what we need to like wish upon a star, but also face the things that need to be faced. So again, that shadow work journal. I mean, me personally, last night I had a major epiphany on something that has been with me since childhood, that it didn't even register in me as a block of fear or limitation. And then it was out of the blue. All of a sudden it was like, I think I was brushing my teeth. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my goodness, like how have I not correlated these two things together? So let's get into it. Okay. I'm so excited for this. But the honestly, those messages while I was clearing were so important. And I think I'm gonna have to write this up because it's so profound for us collectively. Okay. So yeah, the off balance energy, emotional maturity. Again, not only maturity, but the emotional evolution that we are collectively going through. Think about your emotional evolution, your personal emotional evolution, and how that can shift the scales for you too. All right, so here's another thing. Like, there are a lot of energies for people. So not only are we going through this crescendo emotionally and facing, things we don't want to face, excuse me, there's also this really wonderful energy of receiving that is coming from this. So remember to focus on that too, because when it comes to finances, there is a lot of like strong energy to recognizing how your emotions affect your finances, how it affects globally, how we perceive money, how money works, and the people who are using it right and the people who aren't using it right. Like, there's a lot of crescendos that are going to be happening here, but giving and receiving, when we finally heal and face these emotional things that we have probably buried, that's when all of a sudden it's like, boom, there it is. Oh, that's so nice to see. Nice. Yeah, I did think about, okay, this is amazing to see this at the end of this eclipse, because this is the healing that we want. So remember, recognize the things that might be, and it's not like for some people it can be a sudden change, but for other people it's more of a shift of our mindset, the mindset shift. And I am getting emotionally, the mindset shift is going to be the most important aspect of this. So we got, no surprise at all, what did I say about the emotional bruises? We have so much cups energy, and then though we still have this wonderful peaking of the financial aspect, our resources, our health, and all that energy, and then this empowering fire energy. Okay, this is really powerful. All right, so overall energy though, the 10 of Cups. So this, to me, 10 of Cups is also Mars and Pisces. And so what did I say about how we really need to assert ourselves with compassion? This is a card of compassion. All right, everything in its right place. What do you feel like? This is so, actually, I got to go back to what I said in the beginning. What does emotional fulfillment look like to you? This is emotional fulfillment. This is everything in its right place, believing that wishes come true, right? This is asserting yourself with that Pisces compassion and love. And Pisces enjoys being at home, let me tell you. But here's where we really want to recognize also too that masculine energy and that feminine energy, right? So your focus and our focus collectively, because remember, yes, there's going to be a lot of things being illuminated, to the bruises, to the shadow. This should highlight more to you to focus on, what does emotional fulfillment look like to me? What does contentment look like to me? What does it feel like when everything's in its right place? Because that's what you should be radiating and embodying at this time. And what I love too is this isn't fire energy, but look at this warm fire here, because we're going to be getting to that Aries energy, and that's going to make a lot of sense. What we need more of, Queen of Cups, we need more compassion. What we also collectively need is the divine feminine energy, Mother Nature, the healing, the restoration. Also, the recognition of appreciating divine feminine energy. That is also so important. But for you personally and for us collectively, to be empathetic, to be caring, to be practical, to be honest, all right? To have all of the wonderful light attributes of what mother energy is. This is the most nurturing mother energy in the deck. It's ruled by Gemini and Cancer, okay? And also we have Mars in Cancer. So don't forget that we have Mars in Cancer, which is mama bear energy. So we're probably going to be seeing a lot of that mama bear energy coming out pretty profoundly. But remember, it's not supposed to be coming out in the aspect of like a masculine Aries energy, okay? So, and Mars doesn't like being in Cancer, all right? Like, that's an energy that doesn't necessarily like each other. So that's something you also want to keep in mind. However, please, this is for us to embody being in the flow, being empathetic, being caring, being practical, and being honest. Not only honest with others, but honest with ourselves, okay? What we have the right amount of, though, 9 of coins, Venus and Virgo. This is great to see because this is the grounding we need collectively, all right? This is also, too, what I was saying about, even though there's all of this emotional energy coming through, financially, material, health, right? Like wealth, like all of these themes could actually be increasing for some of us. And that's what's so fascinating, is because then there's that juxtaposition of like, making sure, you stay on your eagle's perch. How can I enjoy all this when all this other destruction is happening around me, right? And so if you can spend more time focusing on your Venus energy, feng shui would be an amazing thing. But collectively, it's like, we are recognizing we are so tired of this toxic energy. We are so tired collectively of seeing systems that are cheating and destroying and doing everything against this energy. So the more that we can radiate this energy and give the gratitude where gratitude is deserved, okay? That is, like I said, me looking out at this road, and it's like I could have that frustration of, it's been a year and a half and I can't believe this is done, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't look at it that way. I look at it like, thank goodness they're taking their time doing this, because this road is going to be so much better for everyone, okay? So it might be disrupting my day-to-day and shaking my place every time they're like drilling and digging, but like, it doesn't even faze me, because I'm recognizing how important it is to have a solid foundation, okay? What we do need less of is the 8 of coins. And so this is fascinating to me, because I'm getting this recognition of, this is that idea of adding more to your plate, taking an online course, building your repertoire. We do need to tie up loose ends. Don't forget that. But this is more of a recognition of, how can I keep building? And this is also a card that's, encouraging more work, okay? This to me is saying that, like, where we're focusing our energy and why we're focusing it on that, we need to really keep in check, because this to me is saying that whole energy of work smarter, not harder. Okay, this is like work harder, and then that will, create more. And I just want you to recognize, like, we might want to take a step back from being so busy to tune into the things that we really need to face. What we can change, the Ace of Cups, like this to me is like, as a Pisces, emotionally feels really strong, okay? This isn't ruled by Pisces, but we see the 2 fish here. What we can change is our emotional joy, okay? What we can change is this renewal in us emotionally. So this is what's so powerful, is we all need to recognize, personally and collectively, we have the power to shift this. We have the power to bring in an emotional fresh start for the collective, an emotional fresh start. My God, why is that so hard to say today? This is also ruled by Libra, Sagittarius, and Scorpio. And so here is this profound energy in the sign of Libra: justice, balance, right? Clarity, responsibility, cause and effect. Like, all of these energies are so important, and we individually can collectively change the collective cup, okay? It's really, like I said, it's about making sure, if you are wanting more time for self-care, you have to make sure, like I said, if it's about like, I gotta work on this, like, it's like, did you do this first? Because this is what's most important right now, is that energetic cup, okay? What you need to accept, the Emperor. And so this is where it's like, this is again that personal responsibility. What did I say with the free will? It's with great power comes great responsibility, all right? This power, this shift, okay, it takes recognizing we need both of these energies. And I'm going back to it. This is exactly what I was saying, is the divine feminine, the divine masculine. We need both of these energies. We need to be able to have that empathy and compassion and going with the flow that is combined with structure, responsibility, confidence. I'm also going to this Aries energy, and like, we need to accept that we have to hold ourselves accountable, okay? We have to hold ourselves accountable as much as we hold other people accountable. And so the more that you can accept this structure and accept this interesting like assertiveness, but what does it mean to be assertive, and letting go of this old paradigm's connection to assertiveness, the better off we're all going to be. And end of this solar eclipse, though, is bringing in more harmony. This is Venus in Cancer. And so this is where all of this, and this eclipse too, you're going to be feeling like 2 weeks before and then like about a week or two after. All right. And so this energy is not just for the day of the eclipse, but you're probably already feeling a lot of this anyways. But this is loving relationships and partnerships. This is what is to me the most exciting. So collectively bringing more harmony to our relationships, both sides of the aisle, if you will, like coming together for like, again, compassion and empathy, but also the relationship you have with yourself. That to me, because our personal relationship with her, the more of us that heal that, the more it's going to radiate into the collective, and why that is so important. But yeah, this is wonderful. It's perfectly exactly what I thought it was going to be. So let's get some past life energy here to see what past life energy is affecting us collectively. Okay, yeah, well, it makes sense because, and everybody's been getting this a lot, and this is about that old paradigm, okay, and how society relied so much on this, going back to the damsel and the father energy, and this idea of, let's just talk briefly about, imprisonment and like how it should be rehabilitating, right? Also this idea of, nurturing that, giving everybody the tools they need in their toolbox. Okay. But like, this has been a system of like, recidivist, is that what it's called? Where it's this, the system set up to keep people in that cycle, not to allow them to break free and be independent. Okay. It's that concept of dependency I was talking about. So let's get into it. I can already tell, like, this is a really, really powerful new moon solar eclipse. Okay. This card signifies that you spent This card signifies that you spent time imprisoned or in slavery. Your rights were taken from you, as well as your dignity and freedom. You are free now, but you still may harbor fears related to that lifetime. For example, you may feel claustrophobic in confined spaces or on airplanes, or you may develop a form of Stockholm syndrome, where you feel empathetic toward those who abuse you. I'm going again back to that, the damsel and the father. On the other hand, your experiences can also make you feel exquisitely compassionate toward those who suffer. Okay, why we need that energy there. You may devote yourself to defending underdogs and bringing more love and justice into this world. Libra, hello. To heal any residual fears from that previous lifetime, remember the details of the past life to loosen the shackles and free yourself from the symptoms. Channel your altruistic feelings and tendencies into helping society. Acts of kindness and compassion heal the individual as they heal the world. I'm going to read that last one because that, again, like I said, that is the most important part of this, is the healing that's coming through us seeing all of this energy. Acts of kindness and compassion heal the individual as well as the world. And so what does this look like to you, and how do we get there? Okay. Through compassion, empathy, but also personal responsibility, collective responsibility. Okay. Accountability is so important, but accountability that comes with compassion and grace. This is such a great reading. Okay. Now let's get an empowering question for the collective. What empowering question is going to help for this? Alrighty. Would I be proud of myself if I spoke to other people in the same way as my thoughts speak to me? How do my thoughts speak to me? All right. So that's also important because it's connected to, why am I doing the things that I'm doing right now? Why am I thinking the things I'm thinking right now? All right. That's what I said. Like, there's so much stuff like that's going to be really highlighted in areas that we are discontent. okay? But how can we move through that with compassion for ourselves and recognize that we can shift whatever needs to be shifted? Because your wounds are going to be on display, if you will. Okay. And again, collective, all right? So that means like the media is going to amp up more of all of the horrific things that are happening in the collective, okay? Like it's going to be highlighted, it's going to be crescendoed, and yeah, just keep that in mind, please. All right, the archetypal energy affecting us collectively. Well, wow. All right. We got God energy, rebel, and scribe, okay? Let's start with this. So collectively, these are the energies, like the characters, if you will, that we're going to be seeing a lot in the collective. First is God, light attributes. Benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. This is what we all need to embody. Shadow attributes. Despotism and cruelty, using power to control. Okay, so we're going to be seeing both of these. Keep yourself in the light, but recognize we're going to be seeing a lot of that shadow energy around this time, okay? And going back to that emperor energy, like we need to have that energy. It's just that we're seeing the shadow energy of it, okay? Because the emperor can be really connected to this energy, right? So we're seeing the shadow energy of that. That doesn't mean that we don't need that energy. There's two sides to every coin. And then hopefully that we'll recognize that we do need that, okay? It's like the idea of, people who want to get rid of taxes, but then not recognizing that that's how we rebuild our roads. That's how we build our schools. So there's just this, but also too, that there's people who are taking advantage of cheating the system, if you will. So that there's just this recognition that we need this energy. It's just the way that it's being shown is something that we have to face. Okay, so rebel energy. Light attributes, challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Shadow attributes, rejects legitimate authority out of anger. Yeah, rebels out of peer pressure. This is rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. So I thank you for these cards, because shadow attributes of this is going to bring out the shadow attributes of this. Whereas the light attributes of this and the light attributes of this, because here's the deal, it's like you should be challenging authority. You should be questioning it if it's not right. However, if you just completely again, structure, right? Like regulations, it's like, I don't need any of that. It's like, well, we do need some of it. Like we do need structure. We do need routine. We do need all of these to nurture these things because they help us move forward. And so there's going to be either a complete rejection of these certain ideas of structure and authority, if you will, because of so much emotional energy within us personally and collectively. And then the last one, which is nice, is scribe, light attributes, preserving knowledge and information. Shadow attributes, altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. So we're going to be seeing both of this. Is so funny because we're going to be seeing all these. And so recognize that we're going to see the illumination of all of these shadow attributes. We're seeing people who are simply saying things that aren't true, even coming out and saying they're not true, but saying it doesn't matter, that truth doesn't matter. And what a thing to say during a season of Libra, right? It's so fascinating. These cards are amazing. All right, so let's get some dragon energy for the collective. What dragon energy? This is a long one, but it's an important one, okay? This is just showing me like how important this energy is. Okay. Dragon energy, we can all harness. Omega Dragon. Harness the divine feminine power of creation. Hello. Intention. Hold your vision. Birth the higher consciousness. And so again, this is what Pam Gregory always says. Stay on your eagle's perch. This is where we have to do the internal work while not getting our energy pulled into that collective, okay? All right, so let's see what crystal energy we can use. All right, what crystal energy can benefit the collective? Now remember, this is, oh, heck yeah, okay. So again, this energy 2 weeks before 2 weeks after-ish, week or two after, you're really going to be feeling this energy, okay? Tiger's eye, personal power in action. All right, this is so profound because, again, it's all of us individually. You can shine a light on other people all you want, but if you have to do that personal work, we need to take responsibility and accountability, okay? This tiger's eye is so important. Great and easy to find. Pick up some tiger's eye. Hold it with you, especially in those times where we do need to have the personal power to face things that have emotionally scarred us, okay? All right, so we're going to do sign by sign, and then we're going to close this out. What do Aries need to hear for this new moon solar eclipse? Aries, 9 of Wands. Keep going, all right? It's going to feel heavy, especially because you have Chiron retrograde in your sign. Those wounds, you're going to be really feeling them profoundly. Please make sure to be emotionally grounded, all right? You also need to be prepared. So if this is where you're not having that structure and that focus combined with the bold and fearlessness, you're really going to want to take that and recognize that we want to utilize the light energy of Aries, okay? All right. Ooh, Taurus. My goodness, you had a lot of cards come out. Taurus, 5 of Swords, Page of Cups. You really want to focus. Look at that one cup. I don't even know where it went. What you can change, that Ace of Cups, Page of Cups, okay? So there's something here related to just you gotta walk away. Once you walk away and just leave it, that's where that emotional renewal comes in, okay? That might have been a long journey for you, but there's a very big highlight on your inner child, what your inner child, probably even from childhood, what it was lacking, and how can I take charge of that myself? Okay, Geminis, 3 of Pentacles. Yeah, you did get a lot of energy of the expansion, even though even though Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini right now. The more that you can just stay focused on slow and steady wins the race and not feel that pressure of like, I got to do this now, but you do kind of have to put yourself out there, okay? So there's something here you've been working on, and it might be the time that we actually show, even if it's not to what we want it to be. Just don't let that flightiness push something out that isn't ready, but like just know that it's time, okay? But that financial gain is coming from a lot of work you've been putting in, so congratulations. Cancers, 8 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so this is interesting. What you need less of, Cancers. You're going to be really feeling this a lot, and it's probably because Mars is in your sign and, you know, how you assert yourself. We really need to focus on that emotional healing, okay? I think that what this is saying is being busy just to be busy isn't necessarily what's best for us, okay? Leo's Temperance reverse. You really need to utilize those energies of balance, all right? That's Sagittarius energy. It's a fellow fire sign. I think that there might be this energy of, you know thyself, right? And so to me, this is saying like we really have to see other people's perspectives. We really have to get to the root of something and bring this healing, because this is a card of healing, okay? And look at the cups, like, you know, the flowing of the water. If we can tap into the emotional things that we don't want to face while staying grounded, it's going to lead us to the sun, all right? And you have a lot of like spiritual energy connected to that is connected to your fire, that's connected to your inner flame, and you have to recognize this healing is here to bring you closer to where you're meant to be. Okay. Virgos, what do Virgos need to hear for the new moon solar eclipse? All right, what do Virgos need to hear? All right, Virgos. Dang, everybody's getting a lot of reverse. Okay. The Emperor and the 3 of Swords, they did come out reversed. Excuse me. There's something you have to clear related to your throat chakra and your truth. Virgos, you're attached to that earth energy of the Capricorn paradigm. We really need to recognize reflecting, especially seeing the Emperor, because that was in the area of what we can change. Or I'm sorry, what we need to accept. And there's this recognition of how does past pain affect how we assert ourselves? How does past pain affect how we assert ourselves? And how can we incorporate more of Piscean, or your polar natal sign, Pisces, compassion and love, okay? All right, so Libras, what do Libras need to hear for the new moon solar eclipse in their sign? All right, Libras. What do Libras need to hear for the full moon? Libras, you don't want to hear it. Okay. Wow, Ace of Swords, Six of Swords. Yeah, there's a way of thinking. This seems like it's a way of thinking too that has been with us for a while that we really need to move away from. Okay, there's this. You don't want to be scared of new ideas. You don't want to be scared of a new way of thinking. And taking control of this energy is by utilizing more of this Queen of Cups energy. Okay, nurturing, be with the flow. You know, that idea of control. And that's hard because taking control of your destiny, right? Mercury and Aquarius, you have to do as you say, okay? You have to think as you project. And so there is this very strong, like, you're taking you're taking the sword back in your hand, your mental mastery, the power over your thoughts, the power over your communication, but you have to leave something behind related to that. And like I said, I do think it's connected strongly to something that's been with you for a while, okay? It's really like releasing and having compassion. It's that idea too of you can hold space for people. You can hold love and compassion for people while also shifting, if you will, okay? Scorpios, Five of Cups. Yeah, this makes sense too because we are getting closer to Scorpio season. But the transformation that you're going through is very profound. And so those emotional wounds, you're going to be feeling them, you're going to be seeing them. And we just want to recognize the two cups that we have. Okay. We have to turn around. Give time to grieve these cups. I think if you've been ignoring that, like, give into it and then turn around and pick up these cups with a new sense of renewal, okay? So important. All right, Sagittarius. What is Sagittarius? Yeah, Sagittarius. Wow, okay. Four of Cups and Justice. Sagittarius, there's somewhere in your life where you are over it. And this is a big shift, okay? So here's where it could be in the collective too, where you are seeing how justice is not everything that we expected it to be, that we were taught it to be. But you're probably seeing the scales being brought back into balance, into justice, okay? Fairness, equality. And this is also in your personal life, all right? So recognize that we can't get bogged down in how frustrated we are with seeing the scales off balance, because we're going to miss this cup, which is down here somewhere. That Ace of Cups, okay, what we can change. You can bring that emotional fulfillment in, all right? It's just really how we're focusing on where we're at. So please recognize that, you know, the appreciation of what you've learned, where you've gone, and that the scales of justice are being brought back into balance. But we got to get that emotional reset. We have to welcome it and then face the bruises, if you will, okay? If that's something that's happening with you. Face the emotional bruises. Why am I doing the things that I'm doing right now? What does emotional fulfillment look like to me? That for you is a very strong focus. Okay, Capricorns. What do Capricorns need to hear? Wow, Capricorns, Saturn. This is a big chapter closing out for you, okay? So this is, you know, career change, relationship change, an ending to a karmic relationship and going back to the karmic relationship energy that we had. But this is also success, okay? So finding your place in the universe, there's a big, strong lesson that we've had to learn when it comes to what is our place in the universe? What does that look like? Because for you, this is going to be, and it's because of Pluto energy, right? And we're going to be seeing Pluto going direct. And so this powerful transformation of you personally and then collectively, like seeing the energy of, like, it's a wake-up call energy, but it's a very profound Saturn lesson that you are going to be feeling with this eclipse. And it makes perfect sense because we have Pluto in your sign. So of course, you're going to be feeling that collective karmic completion, if you will. Aquarius, look at who You got this. Is amazing. Judgment, answering the wake-up call. This is Pluto. Okay, so of course your energies are going to be like this. We're closing out the Pluto. I'm sorry, we're closing out the Capricorn paradigm and welcoming in the Aquarian age. So of course Capricorns are getting Saturn and Aquarius is getting Judgment. Aquarius, answer the wake-up call. And like I said, this is where you have to reach great power comes great responsibility. Your energy is going to be so important to the collective. So you really need to recognize, like, if there's anything that we need to clear. But it's also putting yourself out there, liberation and renewal as well. That Ace of Cups is so important to you, Aquarius, because your energy is so connected to where we're going. Make sure you're focusing on what does all of that stuff look like that I talked about in the beginning, okay? Emotional fulfillment, having compassion for other people, your free will and your responsibility that comes with free will, okay? All right, Pisces, what do we got for Pisces for this new moon solar eclipse in Libra? Nice. Okay, Pisces, you got the King of Wands and the Knight of Swords. And so here's where it's like, you have to put yourself out there. And I think that you've gotten this in your monthly for October and your recent weeklies is like nothing ventured, nothing gained. There's this idea of really putting yourself out there and taking a stand for what you believe in. Like, you do believe in the fairness, the balance, and the compassion and all of that energy. Just be aware of your shadow energy, okay? Like, there's a lot that we need to clear. And so perhaps it's this shadow energy that is avoiding us from really going out there and putting ourselves out there. But now's the time to do it, okay? So everybody, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot longer than I expected, but it was very important, I think. And you know what? Let's get one clarifier, too, for just everybody. All right, collective clarifier for... Look at that. So the outcome was 2 of Cups, the clarifier, the 3 of Cups. There's going to be so much to celebrate, okay? Let us face these bruises, shine our inner light, okay? The more of us that can personally do it, the better off we'll collectively be. If this resonated, please hit that like button, subscribe to Modern Maven Tarot, and as always, again, shine your inner light. We've got this.